Hey guys, and welcome to Black Moon Lilith in the third house. If you have Black Moon Lilith in your third house in astrology, this video is for you. So we're going to talk about what Black Moon Lilith means, then we'll talk about what the third house means, and then we'll talk about what Lilith means in this placement. So first of all, Lilith is the first lady who was kicked out of the Garden of Eden because she didn't do what Adam wanted, basically, and she had desires. And then she was shunned. The story goes a few different ways, but there were different ways she was punished for this. And ultimately, she just wanted the same thing Adam did. And, that's kind of the gist of the story, is that she would not submit to what he wanted. She had her own desires. So wherever we have Lilith in our natal chart is where we get punished for having our own desires. The people around us reject us and consider us wrong for having these desires. Now, this doesn't have to be sexual. It can have to do with any part of life. And it's going to probably be the part of life where you have by sign and house in your chart. So if you haven't watched the videos on Lilith through the signs, do that after this. And let's get into the meaning of the third house in astrology. So the third house is like the house of communication. It's our day-to-day communication. It's the short bursts of communication. It's the way we chit-chat, the way we learn, the way we study, the way we teach, the way we talk, speak, listen, and hear. It can also rule a few other things like our local environment. That also rules our siblings. But for this video, we're going to focus on the communication side because most people with Lilith here are going to have challenges to communication, specifically probably not being understood. Not being understood, maybe not understanding others, but most likely not being understood. So one way this can manifest is you can be jaded about learning. You can feel like, because of your life experiences, that it's not even worth it to learn anything, or you can feel like you can't learn. You could be a person who didn't take tests very well as a kid and then, had all these negative experiences around learning, around, not like the information. There's a block here to the information. There's a challenge to the communication. So it can be within yourself where it's like, I can't learn this, and then that becomes part of the identity, or you're made fun of for not being able to understand something, or like maybe you pronounced something wrong when you were 4 and someone made fun of you, and that gets like kind of imprinted on you. And then people react to you as if you are communicating wrong. Now, the interesting thing here is that it just depends on the people around you, right? So if you're around a bunch of very academic people and you communicate in a really down-to-earth kind of way, they could say you're wrong for that. Or if you're really down-to-earth, or no, you're really academic and you're surrounded by a bunch of down-to-earth kind of people, they could say you're wrong for that. So it's not really necessarily about you being wrong. It's about the people around you reacting to you in a way that makes you feel like you are wrong for just the natural way that you speak or hear or talk, or the words that you use. Now, this can go even further to like having a stutter or some other obvious challenge to communication that makes it harder for you to communicate, but if you do have a stutter with this placement, it's like, not only do you have a stutter, you're going to be made fun of for it, because what makes it a Lilith placement as opposed to like a Saturn or a Chiron is that with Lilith, other people will reject you. With Saturn or Chiron, we usually are the ones who restrict ourselves. So another way this can show up too is you could communicate in a very Lilith kind of way. So what that means is your communication could be infused with a lot of power, a lot of personal power, or even sexuality, and that can trigger people. It can also like attract or repel people. Lilith will do that. It will either attract people who are like, oh my God, you're such a badass, or it will repel people who are maybe more conservative and think that, children should be seen and not heard, or, things like that, where people who are very, very traditional are definitely not going to be attracted. They're going to be repelled. And the people who are more like wild or, really believe in freedom or whatever, those people are probably going to be more attracted to your communication style. This could be something as simple as like really loving to cuss, but having like a really like, I don't know, feminine appearance. And people are like, you shouldn't cuss. This happens to me a lot. I don't have Lilith here, but it's just an example I thought of from my life where someone will be cussing when they're talking to me. But if I respond with a cuss word, they're like, you said the F word. Oh my God. And it's that kind of thing where other people are allowed to embody that energy, but you are not. There's something about you that makes people think you're not supposed to talk like that. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to think like that. Okay. And the way that you think could also be another thing that people reject you for with this placement, because the third house is our mind. It is how we think. Now, this can go a few ways where, because it's the third house, sometimes people with a lot of placements here can have a lot of mental energy, right? Just a lot of mental stimulation. And so they could be very almost edgy a little bit, on edge a little bit with their communication, with how they talk, with ADD a little bit. I don't want to say that, but like multitasking in how they think. So this could be someone who it's like they have the Gemini like qualities of like asking you a question and then asking another question to answer that question they just asked you, and there was no pause to see what you even wanted to say. There's that kind of energy. So if you have Lilith here and you embody that in some way where your communication is short, to the point, fast, it might be too fast for people, and they might be like, whoa, hold on, slow down. And so that could be one way this could show up. This is just one example. It's not going to relate to everyone watching this. Let's see what else. Okay, another way this can show up is through your curiosity. Your curiosity could be rejected. So this is just like asking the wrong question, or asking a totally innocent question, and then it's like the wrong person to ask, and that it just triggered something in them, and they flipped out. When you were just like, oh, I just wanted to know what book you read last week. And they're like, I haven't been reading, it's just like, and you get like this whole rejection that isn't really about, like, it doesn't match. Okay, it doesn't match. And so for people with Lilith here who can relate to that side of it, the healing is letting it go and knowing that like that's not really personal to you. If you just ask the wrong thing at the wrong time, even just the right question at the wrong time. Okay, another way this can show up is you can be the one who can tell people uncomfortable truths they don't want to hear. Sometimes that will show up as Lilith because, Lilith is the part of us that other people want to make it go away because it makes them uncomfortable. So with the third house, that's going to be around communication. Like you're going to say things that somehow make people uncomfortable, whether you're trying to or not. Now you might be trying to, you might be the kind of person who's like, but wait, if you're thinking like this, why don't you think like that? And with Lilith, sometimes whatever house we have Lilith in is where we want to we see the hypocrisy of other people and we want to point it out to them. Sometimes we will, it will show up that way. So that can be part of that, telling the uncomfortable truths, or just like not having a filter, or, having other experiences where the things you have to say just aren't appreciated and they're really rejected by certain people. Maybe not everyone, but certain people. So that is what I have for this placement for Lilith in the third house. And let me know in a comment below, you guys, if you could relate to this. I love hearing from you. I also have a reading sale on my 1-hour readings I'm doing through the 27th. So be sure to click the link below if you'd like to get in on that. And I will see you all in the next video.